Well, truthfully, I was going to start this video and base the whole theme of this video on Dustin Poirier's 25 to eternity, but Juliana Pena just upset Amanda Nunes in the biggest UFC upset ever? Probably, yeah. I mean, this was bigger than Rousey and Holly Holm and Matt Serra and GSP. This was the biggest one ever. UFC 269 was crazy, and we got to talk about it. Now, I know typically these videos of me just rambling on about UFC events typically go in chronological order, starting with the main event and working our way down the card. But screw that. We ain't going there. We're talking about Amanda Nunes and Juliana Pena. Now, I mean, before the fight, we all saw Juliana Pena had the confidence of someone who's been a world champion 100 times, and obviously she has not been. Amanda Nunes was just being Amanda Nunes, you know, just typical, I'm going to ruin your day, I'm the best there is, nobody's going to take this belt from me. Fine, no problem. Fight started and it was kind of weird, you know. Pena looked pretty confident until Nunes walked out, and then she was doing all the weird swimming, looping punches and getting beat up, but she held her own on the ground, went back to the corner, second round came out, and she was like a whole different fighter. She reinvented herself. She was getting in Nunes' face, and obviously Amanda didn't like that, so she was firing, she was putting everything into her shots. Got tired so quick, gassed, Pena took her down and choked her out, and you know what? This was crazy because, again, biggest upset in UFC history, but she didn't just beat Amanda Nunes. She drowned her. She took her spirit and her will, and nobody, and I mean nobody, put money on this. I know for a fact. And if you did, yo, shout out to you and enjoy those millions of dollars because you are rich off of that. That was incredible. Now, obviously, the rematch is going to happen. Can she do it again? If Amanda's a little bit smarter, maybe, but I think, you know, truthfully, Amanda's just overconfident, and not really her fault. She's just been dismantling people left, right, and center. And Pena lost via submission to a kickboxer who didn't know how to wrestle. So I don't know. Besides that, shout out Juliana Pena. You're I was gonna call her a goat. She's not a goat, but she beat the goat. I mean, now we'll go back to the main event. 25 to eternity was just not in the cards tonight. Charles Oliveira submitted Dustin Poirier rear naked choke in the third round, and this was tough because it's been a while since we had a title fight of this magnitude. You know, a 155 lightweight is probably the most fun and the deepest division in all of mixed martial arts, not just UFC, but every organization ever. And you had two of the better guys, not just inside the cage, but outside the cage. Just two really solid dudes going at it, nothing but respect. And everyone, I mean, I don't think everyone, but a lot of people, including myself, thought this was going to be Dustin's time, right? When you can't pick a fight, you pick destiny, and Charles already had that belt on his record, so maybe this was Dustin's time. And it just wasn't. I mean, he started Charles is ridiculous. I don't like. How do you even start with that guy? He was, you know, up and down throughout his career. Obviously, he has the most submission wins, and he's super slick. He has that since the start. But he took a beating in that first round. He was dropped a few times. Dustin was pouring it on, and he wasn't stopping. And he's weird with his striking because he throws a bunch of stuff, and he's sliding knees up the middle, and he hit Dustin's body early and often. The second round, he controlled Dustin, and the third round, he just jumped on his back and said, I'll take that neck now, thank you very much. And it's tough. I mean, Dustin's just one of the good guys, and I want to see him win a title, right? And he did the smart thing. He made millions of dollars from Conor McGregor twice, and unfortunately, it just wasn't his night. Shout out to Charles. This picture on the screen is pretty crazy. The whole meme thing of Conor McGregor after he got knocked out. Not the broken leg one, but the second fight when he got knocked out. Jake Paul made the chain and sent it to Dustin and all that crap. Dustin's laying in the exact same position. That's just weird irony, to be honest. But damn, shout out Charles, man. What an amazing fighter and an amazing guy. He's going to have some interesting matchups. Obviously, he's got Gaethje next, and Gaethje hits a lot harder than Poirier, but he seemed like he could take a shot, and he could take many of them and fire back. And man, that lightweight division is nuts. Yeah, I don't know. Charles is just different gravy these days. It's gonna take a lot to beat him, and obviously, like I mentioned, Justin Gaethje, you have Islam Makhachev and Beneil Dariush. And now this would have been interesting if Khabib was still around, right? Can this version of Charles beat Khabib? I mean, theoretically, you were just talking theoretics. Could anyone beat Khabib? Probably not, but I mean, if this guy can get taken down and do all his weird, he's like a snake down there, man. He's slithering around and he's grabbing limbs, and I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Khabib would have got his ass kicked by Charles Oliveira, but I think it would have been an intriguing matchup and one I wish I could see. I also want to point out that months ago, I did a tournament of the lightweights, and video on screen here, this was literally the one I matched them up, Dustin and Charles, so shout out to past me. Good job. Just want to touch on a few other things about this card. I mean, Cody Garbrandt, tough. I don't know what else to say. I mean, if you saw my Instagram post predicting the fights, I stated in that caption there that Cody didn't have a chin at 135, and it's not his. It happens, right? When you go to war and you've been beaten and knocked out, you don't have a chin. And then he decided to drop weight. Granted, he looked really good on the scales, way better than I thought he was gonna look. But he just got blasted. You know, Kai Kara-France, he's not known as he's not the best boxer in the UFC, but he's got good hands, and he was patient and he stayed patient and caught Cody coming in, and that was the end of him. And that's 1-5 in his last 6. I know homeboy Sean O'Malley said in the press conference, you're one more loss away from sitting in the commentary booth with your buddy Dom, but like, how does he continue, right? He's got to build that beard up and not get dropped, but that's tough for Cody. And speaking of Sean, of course, Sean O'Malley started off the pay-per-view, pretty crazy knockout. Yeah, it's time for a step up. The unranked champion is no longer going to be unranked, and you got to give him somebody good. Give him Peter Yan. I'm kidding, don't do that, but he's just entertaining, right? He's kind of one of those guys where you don't know if you want to see him get knocked out or if you want him to knock out his opponent. He's just really intriguing no matter which way it goes, and I'm excited to see his future, man. That couple of speed bumps in the way with the suspensions and the Cheeto Vera loss, but it's good to see him doing well. Man, I don't know how the UFC always does this. This last card of the year is super stacked. We were supposed to have Masvidal Edwards on this shit. That would have been crazy, but either way, shout out Charles Oliveira, shout out Dustin Poirier too, two of the better guys in the entire organization. Tough loss for Dustin. That's a little heartbreaking for him, but Charles is a mean man, and he's a hell of a fighter. And shout out Juliana Pena. Period. That's all I gotta say. Unbelievable win. That was quite the card to end the year, and I'm gonna try to put one more video up before the year ends, talking about the whole year in review of the UFC. But till then, I appreciate you watching this, and we'll catch you then.